Mental health problems. How to support a friend or family member who is showing signs of mental illness. Anyone can experience mental health problems. Friends and family can make all the difference in a person's recovery process. Find out what to look for, what to do, and how to talk about mental health if someone close to you is experiencing mental illness. Watch this video also to learn research backed and CDC approved ways to support friends and family members coping with mental health problems and explore help resources at the local and national levels. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. How you doing today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. If you're doing as great as I am, we'll grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka. Today's topic is a little sensitive, and even though I'm doing fantastic, I understand the importance of today's topic, and we'll try to be as precise and concise as possible. But please, this is not legal or medical advice. If you have any problem, whether it is mental health related or physical health related, always consult a professional. Always reach out to your provider. Always reach out to someone who knows the subtleties of mental health. We have done research, and we are giving you the results of our research here. This is more of a general information, FYI type of info, for you to understand the whole process of mental illness before making the next move. So what to look for? It is important to be aware of warning signs that your relative may be struggling. You can play a critical role in knowing when your relative may need help. You want to consult with a counselor, as I said earlier, nurse, mental health provider, or another healthcare professional if your relative shows one or more of the following behaviors. The list here is not exhaustive, but according to the CDC and the United States Department of Health and Human Services, the list here is a good list. It's a reasonable list of all the symptoms and all the behaviors that may trigger or that may be precursors to mental health issues. So if your relative is feeling very sad or withdrawn for more than 2 weeks, sometimes it can be even 1 week. It depends on the person. You know the person pretty well, so you will know if this person is usually talkative and very easygoing, and if all of a sudden he or she is withdrawn for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you know something's going on. If the person is seriously trying to harm or kill himself or herself, or making plans to do so, suicidal behavior is very sometimes very difficult to detect, which is why you have to pay attention. And once you see the very first sign, please don't wait for the next thing to happen. Don't say, oh, this is just something that happened once, it won't happen again. No. If somebody is trying to harm or kill herself or himself, please take action right away. You can contact. We'll talk about the help resources available, but please take action. If the person is experiencing sudden, overwhelming fear for no reason, sometimes with a racing heart or fast breathing, if somebody is getting in many fights or wanting to hurt others, if you have some elevated level of let's just say if you have somebody who has an abnormally elevated level of anxiety or negativity towards others, this could be signs of some mental health problems going on. If your relative or friend is showing severe out of control behavior that can hurt himself or herself or others, if your family member or friend or colleague, somebody close to you, is not eating, throwing up, or using laxatives to make himself or herself lose weight, this could be cause for concern also. If the person is having intense worries or fears that get in the way of daily activities, also want to pay attention to that. Experiencing extreme difficulty controlling behavior, putting himself or herself in physical danger or causing problems at work, in school, in a nursing home, or elsewhere. Whenever the family member or friend interacts with others and socializes, if he or she is putting herself or himself in physical danger or causing problems to others, this could be cause for concern. If the individual is using drugs or alcohol repeatedly, having some drinking problems, this is, or abusing substances, that's really bad. Also, if the person is having severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships, we don't want to get all the way to domestic abuse. Sometimes unfortunately mental health can be the root cause of domestic abuse. And if the person is showing drastic changes in behavior or personality, this could also be a symptom of mental health issues. So I've just given you a non-exhaustive list of what to look for to start thinking about, okay, something might be going on here and I need to pay attention. Let's talk now. Let me give you a few other tips here. Because mentally challenged relatives often cannot understand difficult situations on their own, you should pay particular attention if they experience the loss of a loved one. Somebody has died in the family. This is a very critical moment where you have to surround the person with as much affection, support, and love as possible. Divorce or separation of parents, especially for teenagers. If you have some kind of separation from the parents, this could be an anxious and anxiety-laden period for the teen. If there is any major transition, let's say new home, new school, new job, new neighborhood, new city. If the relative experiences traumatic life experiences, like living through a natural disaster. We've seen a lot of stuff happen in the last few decades around September 11, for example. If the relative experiences teasing or bullying, or difficulties at work, in school, or in the nursing home, for example. So I've just kind of talked to you about what to look for. Now let's talk about what to do. So if you're concerned with your relatives' behaviors, it is important to get appropriate care. So here is what you should do. You should talk to your relative's doctor, nurse, or another healthcare provider and seek further information about the behaviors or symptoms that worry you. Don't take this lightly, folks. Don't say, oh, I don't want to encroach on his or her privacy. I don't want to look too invasive. No, we're talking here about life or death matter. We're talking here about saving someone's life. So please contact the proper expert to make sure that at least someone else knows about the situation. You can ask your relative's primary care physician if he or she needs further evaluation by a specialist with experience in relative behavioral problems. You want to ask if your family members or friends specialist is experienced in treating the problems you are observing. You also want to talk to your medical provider about any medication and treatment plans. It is important though, folks, that before as you are reaching out to specialists and making sure that your family member or friend is taken care of, you also need to start educating yourself. I'm not saying you need to get a PhD in stress management or mental health. I'm just saying you want to understand the basics. You are listening to this show. This is great already. This is a great start. You are learning. You are trying to familiarize yourself with the basics, with the fundamentals of mental health, so you know exactly whether or not your family member or friend is actually going through some really serious stuff or just something temporary. Either way, it's better to prevent than to cure. Let's talk now about mental health. How do you talk about mental health in a very delicate way? Mental health is a sensitive issue. We all know that, especially when the person you worry about when that person is in denial, when the person tells you, hey, listen, I'm fine, I'm definitely fine, I don't have any problem, then you're realizing that, okay, we got to be very sensitive here. We have to be very strategic here in having the conversation. Do you need help starting a conversation with your relative about mental health? I'm going to give you a few questions. Try leading with these questions. Make sure you actively listen to your relative's response. It's not just about, it's only half. Asking the questions is only half the way. The other half is being in an active listening mode. You want to pay attention to clues. You want to pay attention to indices. You want to pay attention to elements that may help you not only save your relative, but also answer the physician's, his or her physician's questions. If your relative cannot talk anymore, you're not in a position to talk. Here are the questions. Can you tell me more about what is happening? How are you feeling? Have you had feelings like this in the past? Sometimes you need to talk to an adult about your feelings. You need to talk to a friend. You need to talk to a family member about your feelings. I'm here to listen. How can I help you feel better? Do you feel like you want to talk to someone else about your problem? Hey, I'm worried about your safety. Can you tell me if you have thought about harming yourself or others? I've been worried about you. Can we talk about what you're experiencing? If not, who are you comfortable talking to? What can I do to help you talk about issues with your parents, with your spouse, with your brothers, with your colleagues, or someone else who is responsible and cares about you? This question is more appropriate for teenagers and the elderly. So if someone who is a normal adult, quote unquote normal adult, and somebody who is physically and mentally doing perfect, you don't need to talk to someone else who is responsible and cares about them, right? So other questions include, what else can I help you with? I am someone who cares and wants to listen. What do you want me to know about how you're feeling? Who or what has helped you deal with similar issues in the past? Sometimes talking to someone who has dealt with a similar experience helps. Do you know of others who have experienced these types of problems who you can talk with? It seems like you're going through a difficult time. How can I help you to find help? How can I help you find more information about mental health problems? I'm concerned about your safety. Have you thought about harming yourself or any other person in your immediate entourage? All right, folks, so this is really a non-exhaustive list of questions you can ask. Not all of them. You can just pick 2 or 3 or 4, depending upon the situation, where you can start a conversation. The idea here is to start a conversation, and once the conversation flows, you would see how they're responding, how your interlocutor, how the person is reacting, and based on that, you can just direct the conversation in one way or another. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. We are also having a conversation here around an important element here, and it is mental health problems, how to support a friend or family member who is showing signs of mental illness. When talking about mental health problems with your relative, colleague, friend, or somebody very close to you, there are a few things you need to remember, and those are critical things. You should know how to connect people to help. You need to know where you need to have an idea of the help resources available there, which is why I was telling you earlier that you need to educate yourself too. You need to know where to find help. You need to understand if someone, for instance, is going through bulimia, you want to understand a little bit what bulimia is. You want to understand where you can find help about bulimia. You want to know which treatments are fast or effective and which are not. Educating yourself will help you not only help the relative going through problems right now, but will also help you yourself. And as I said, God forbid something happens and the person becomes incapacitated, cannot talk, cannot act, does not hear. You're going to have to be the person responding to the physician's questions and the authorities' questions. Again, God forbid. I'm trying to be very, very, very measured here. But stuff happens. This is life. Everything is possible. But we're trying to prevent the unthinkable from happening. You should also communicate in a straightforward manner. Be clear and concise when talking to someone who might be showing signs of mental illness. You want to speak at a level that is appropriate to your relative situation. For instance, if you're speaking to someone, if you're talking to a teenager, you want to speak at a level that fits his or her age and development level. Remember that preschool children need fewer details than teenagers. If you're speaking to an elderly, you want to speak again at a level that fits his or her age. And if the elderly has had some cognitive issues lately, you also want to phrase the conversation in a way that he or she can understand. You should discuss the topic when your relative feels safe and comfortable. Don't start a conversation when there is tension in the air already. Nobody wants that. You want to watch for reactions during the discussion and slow down or back up altogether if your relative becomes confused or looks upset. Again, the goal here is that you want to have a conversation that will help the person. And how good is it if you're having a conversation at a moment when the person is not really even responsive? So we don't want that. Nobody wants that. You want to find the right time where the conversation can happen. And and the best way to do this is to back up completely when the time is not right. You want to listen openly and let your relative tell you about his or her feelings and worries. So mental health, as I said earlier, is a very sensitive topic, and you want to allow the person you suspect of showing signs of mental illness. You want to allow that person some space. You want to give him space, give him or her space, and you want to make him or her the center, the focal point of the conversation. Sometimes it is helpful to make a comparison to a physical illness. For example, many people get sick with the cold or the flu, but only a few get really sick with something serious like pneumonia. People who have a cold are usually able to do their normal activities. However, if they get pneumonia, they will have to take medicine and may have to go to the hospital. Similarly, feelings of sadness, anxiety, worry, irritability, or sleep problems are common for most people. However, when these feelings get very intense, last for a long period of time, and begin to interfere with school, work, and relationships, it may be a sign of a mental health problem. And just like people need to take medicine and get professional help for physical conditions, someone with a mental health problem may need to take medicine and or participate in therapy in order to get better. To get better is very important. So how do you support a friend or family member with mental health problems? How do you help them get better? You can help your friend or family member by recognizing the signs of mental health problems and connecting them to professional help. Talking to friends and family about mental health problems can be an opportunity to provide information, support, and guidance. Learning about mental health issues can lead to three things: improved recognition of early signs of mental health problems, earlier treatment, greater understanding and comparison. Not comparison here, compassion. My fault. So greater understanding and compassion. So if a friend or family member is, say, showing signs of a mental health problem or reaching out to you for help, you can offer support by doing a few things. Finding out if the person is getting the care that he or she needs and wants. If not, please connect him or her to help. Very important. You can offer support by expressing your concern and support. You want to be there for the person. And I mean really being there, not just like, oh yeah, I hear you, everything will be fine, go home, kumbaya. No, you want to be there. You want to show empathy. You want to express concern and support. Please also support your relative by reminding them that help is available and that mental health problems can be treated. And that is true. That's a fact. Those problems are treated every single day in this United States of America or elsewhere. You can ask questions, listening to ideas, and be responsive when the topic of mental health problems come up. You can also offer support by reassuring your friends or family member that you care about him or her. By offering to help your friend or family member with everyday tasks. By including your friend or family member in your plans, you continue to invite him or her without being overbearing. Even if your friend or family member resists your invitations, the idea here is to treat the person as if nothing has changed while you're looking for help, while you're looking for treatment opportunities. Because the last thing you want is to isolate someone who's already suffering suffering from personal, like, inner isolation or outside isolation. You want the person to socialize as much as possible so you can continue to to monitor the symptoms. You can also offer support by educating other people so they understand the facts about mental health problems and do not discriminate. This is critical, folks. You also want to offer support by treating people with mental health problems with respect, folks, respect, compassion, and empathy. My favorite RCE, respect, compassion, and empathy. I mean, everybody deserves those three attitudes, those three traits. No matter how healthy or unhealthy they are, we need to respect them, particularly when someone is showing signs of mental illness. I'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Q, where we're also having a conversation around mental health problems, how to support a friend or family member who is showing signs of mental illness, and how to get help for your friend or family member. I just want to talk to you about 4 dimensions of recovery that have been, this is a concept that has been published by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, in addition to the National Institute of Mental Health. I love this quatuor, this 4-pronged approach to recovery. And so there are 4 major dimensions which support a life in recovery. So you have health. So you can make informed, healthy choices that support physical and emotional well-being. Home. You need to have a stable and safe place to live. Purpose. You want to engage in meaningful daily activities such as a job or school, volunteering, caring for your family, or being creative. Work for independence, income, and resources to participate in society. And the last part here is community. Build relationships and social networks that provide support. So as you're thinking about getting help for your family member or friend, or helping the person trend towards a situation of a full health, of complete health, think about those 4 elements: health, home, purpose, and community. Let's talk about treatment options. There are treatment options out there, and we're just giving you a pretty good list that was compiled by the National Institute of Mental Health in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So if someone is showing signs of mental illness, first of all, it's not up to you to choose which treatment is appropriate for the person. It's up to the person's medical provider and the person himself or herself to choose the right, the best, the most appropriate treatment. So you have psychotherapy. So psychotherapy is a therapeutic treatment of mental illness provided by a trained mental health professional. Psychotherapy explores thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and seeks to improve an individual's well-being. Psychotherapy paired with medication is the most effective way to promote recovery. Examples include cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, exposure therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, etc. You also have medication. So medication does not outright cure mental illness. However, it may help with the management of symptoms. Medication paired with psychotherapy is the most effective way to promote recovery. You have case management, another type of a treatment. This coordinates services for an individual with the help of a case manager. A case manager can help assess, plan, and implement a number of strategies to facilitate recovery. You also have, in some cases, unfortunately, hospitalization. In a minority of cases, Hospitalization may be necessary so that an individual can be closely monitored, accurately diagnosed, or have medications adjusted when his or her mental illness temporarily worsens. A support group can also be very foundational, can be very quintessential to the recovery process. This is a group meeting where members guide each other towards the shared goal of recovery. Support groups are often comprised of non-professionals, but peers that have suffered from similar experiences. You also have complementary and alternative medicine. So complementary and alternative medicine, or CAM, refers to treatment and practices that are not typically associated with standard care. CAM may be used in place of or addition to standard health practices. You also have self-help plan. This is a unique health plan where an individual addresses his or her condition by implementing strategies that promote wellness. Self-help plans may involve addressing wellness, recovery, triggers, or warning signs. And last but not the least, you have peer support. Peer support refers to receiving help from individuals who have suffered from similar experiences. Beyond that, it is very important, folks, to get immediate help if the situation so demands. When it comes to immediate help, you have several things you can think about. Emergency medical services in the United States is not 911. 911, folks. You want to seek immediate assistance if you think your friend or family member is in danger of harming themselves. If the situation is potentially life-threatening, get immediate emergency assistance by calling 911, and this service is available 24 hours a day. You can also contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK, that is 8255, or you can also contact them live through their live online chat. If you or someone you know is suicidal or in emotional distress, you want to contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Trained crisis workers are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So your confidential and toll-free call goes to the nearest crisis center in the Lifeline National Network. These centers provide crisis counseling and mental health referrals. You can also reach out to SAMHSA. SAMHSA, they have a SAMHSA treatment referral helpline at 1-877-SAMHSA-7. That's 1-877-726-4727. You can get general information on health, on mental health, and you can locate treatment services in your area. Speak to a live person Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. All right, folks, this is the end of today's conversation. I want to quickly recap the chat. Mental health problems, how to support a friend or a family member who is showing signs of mental illness. What to look for. I've shown you what to look for, what to do, how to talk about mental health, how to support a friend or family member with mental health problems, and how to get help for your friend or family member. I will see you next time, but until then, remember, stay healthy.